everybody. I am live here, so I'm waiting for people to come in. I'm also going live on Instagram. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Tamara Petra Brown. As you know, please, if you're here watching me, that means you follow me. So, my tripod has fallen apart. Yeah. And so I'm struggling to get on Instagram Live. But thank you for joining me. Let's see what we're talking about while I get my Instagram Live going. We are talking about hiring tech as an employee. All right, so let's do that. Okay. So thank you for joining me. So let me get my Instagram people going. I hope I don't have to hold my phone in my hand. Things are not going well over here. So how is everyone? I know that if you are in the Caribbean, St. Kitts, Trinidad, etc., we are now, I guess, getting our second wave. And so it makes the discussion of technology, I think, even more pertinent because we are going to have to hire tech as an employee if we want to grow our businesses. All right, so okay, there we go. So let me know that you're here. Let's see who's here. Veronica is here. Hi, Veronica. If you're here, just tell me hi in the comments so that I can acknowledge you. And finally, my tripod is up. It's askew, but it's up. So hi, Veronica. Thank you for joining me. And so, hello, Instagram family. We are finally here. And so, I'm going to get started, I think. I know you're supposed to wait for people to join in the room and all of that, but, it is what it is. So, today, I'm going to be talking about 8 ways or 8 roles, right, that you can hire technology for, right? 8 roles you can hire tech for in your business. Hi, Richard Solo. So do share, everybody. Like and share. And then I'm going to get started. So let me just put this in my Instagram. Right? So 8 roles you can hire tech for in your business. Yes. Okay. So let me pin the post. I'm afraid to touch my... Okay. All right. So hi, everybody. It's Dr. Tamara Petra Brown. Thank you for joining me on Instagram. Thank you for joining me on Facebook, LinkedIn. I have something special coming up for you this week. So the LinkedIn Live is going to be a different topic altogether. But the reason that before I begin and just jump in, I'm talking about tech because I believe, and I know, not I believe, I know, and the research shows that tech is one of the most efficient ways to grow your business. Now, if you were not with me on LinkedIn Live and Facebook last week, Sunday, you should go back on either platform and check out that live. In that live, I talked about ways to scale your business while remaining small. And one of the ways that I said you could scale your business is by hiring tech or having tech as a teammate. And so I thought that I would delve deeper into that topic about hiring tech as a teammate. So what authority do I have to talk about, hiring tech as a teammate? Now, my doctorate is in technology entrepreneurship. But before I even had a doctorate, right, I had a master's in information systems management way back, like 1999, I believe I graduated. And actually, I was the only Black person and youngest person and one of two females in that master's program at Duquesne University in the United States because tech was just emerging. So I'm also the founder of the first online academy in the Caribbean. I launched that in 2012. That's at tamubrown.com. And we do CXC classes by email and online. We do online creation of courses, etc., e-learnings, e-curricula, that sort of thing, right? And we're moving into virtual reality and extended reality and gamification in 2022, right? And if you've ever been a person, a student in one of my classes when I was a senior lecturer, you know that I use and infuse tech like nothing, right? Because I'm passionate about tech, I believe in tech, and I know that tech can help you grow your business, grow your reach. So, are we ready? Let me know if you're ready. Okay, so do share and let's get going. Now, what are some roles that you can hire for tech, right? So if tech is going to be an employee in your company or tech is going to be a team member, the question is, well, then what roles can you hire tech for? So today I'm going to talk about 8 roles you can hire tech for. And actually, they're in no particular order, but now that I look at them, I think they're going from least complex, maybe, to, let's look at it like that. Lowest on the hiring organizational hierarchy, maybe, to higher up on the hierarchy, because we're using the metaphor as tech as an employee. Now, the first thing that you need to do in this 21st century, in this COVID time, is that you need to hire tech as your cashier. You understand? Yes. So if you are engaged in any sort of business, you have to have the ability to collect money. Okay. And so tech should be your cashier at this point. So you need a shopping cart application. You need a point of sale application. You need a link that you can send people so that they can pay for your products and services online, right? Because if you really look at how we're doing business, hi Priya One over on Instagram, if you look at how we're really doing business and the context of the world today, the fact that we are having to limit our person on person and face to face interaction, then clearly you have to find a way to collect money for the goods and services that you offer. And so you need to create as many opportunities as possible for your clients to pay. And so tech has to be your teammate. So tech is your cashier, right? Now, here is a rule of thumb. The more difficult that you make it for people to pay you, the more likely it is that they'll move to someone who has other options for payment. Okay? So tech is there to remove friction. So when customers have gone through the customer journey with you and they have researched you, they have compared you, and now they're ready to make the sale to you and you've closing the sale, the worst thing is when you cannot figure out how to get their money and they cannot figure out how to pay you. So you need tech as that cashier to remove that friction. Now, in the Caribbean, there is often difficulty with accepting payments online, but that's just because you don't know the how, right? I do have a video lesson, a 3-hour video lesson on moving your business online, actually. So let me put that in the comments so that you can have a look at it, because it's really important, especially, not just especially, but I don't believe that if you're in business and you're not able to accept payments online in multiple ways, that you're serious. And if you can't accept payments in multiple ways online, then it's impossible for you to grow your business. You hear what I said? Impossible. And I'm not taking that back, because it's true. So for those of you on Facebook, I'm going to copy the link below in the comments. For Instagram, if you're interested in the moving your business online video lesson, then you send me a DM, please. All right. So the first role that you're hiring tech for is as your cashier. All right, as your cashier. Okay. So I would say you need at least 3 options to pay, for people to pay you. One should be PayPal. One should be a debit slash credit card application, right? Gateway, where people can enter their credit or debit cards post prepaid, or Visa cards or MasterCards, whatever card, right? PayPal, because some people want that comfort of using PayPal, because of course PayPal shields their credit and debit card information. So you want to have PayPal, as well as your regular debit credit card gateways. And some people want to do bank transfers through mobile banking. So I would say that you should have at least one of each of those. Okay, I think that's really important. All right. So hiring tech as your cashier. So let me put that down here somewhere. So the first thing is hire tech as your cashier. Next role that we're going to hire tech for, okay, we are going to hire tech as your admin. Okay, so we hire tech as your cashier. And now, hi, Yafin, we want to hire tech as your admin. Now, as you become busier and busier, and as you grow your business, you are going to need administrative help. Now, what does that administrative help look like? It can look like responding to persons to let them know that you've received their email, or received their form, or something like that, right? It might be sending out a newsletter, right? It might be sending out thank yous automatically when people purchase your things. It might be requiring somebody to set up appointments. People want to make appointments with you. They want to have meetings with you. They want to know when you're available to discuss things that are hopefully going to be about the growth of your business. And so you need an admin. Why? Because your best time is best spent doing things that are strategic and helping the bottom line directly. And so we want to hire tech as an administrative assistant. So what does that look like? That looks like productivity software, right? So if I had to say some of the core admin tasks that you can get tech to do that are free, I'm going to use free ones, right? So let's talk about sending emails, right? Or responding to emails. Now you can just use your Gmail, or if you have an email with your domain like I do, you definitely can put an autoresponder on. So when people email you, you can create an autoresponder on there to say, thank you for contacting me. I'll review your email within 24 hours, or within 48 hours, or soon if you don't want to, within, before the end of the business week, or whatever the case may be. Just so that people know that you've received their email. You can also schedule emails. So you might want to batch your emails. So if you have a bunch of emails to send, so you can sit down one day, respond to people, and schedule them for when they need to go out. Gmail has a scheduler. Or actually, I think all email programs, they have a schedule. So you can schedule your send. So you can batch the work because batching is efficient. But then they go out at the appropriate times. Now, speaking of emails, sometimes you're wondering if it is that your emails were received, right? Did anybody get did the person get my email? Did they open my email? Did they see my email? You know how that goes when you're maybe sending a proposal, when you are responding to somebody, when they've asked you for maybe an online quote or estimate of work or something like that, and crickets, you're not hearing back from them. So you want to know, did they receive it? You can install a mail tracker on your mailing software. So I use MailTrack. It's an extension by Chrome, and it works with Gmail. I'm not certain if it works with any other, but Google is your friend, so you can find a mail tracker. And what it does is it sends you an alert when someone opens your email, right? And if there are multiple people on the email, if you upgrade, you can see which person opened the email. So this is great stuff because then now you can move to follow up with people because you know that they've just opened your email, right? So these are all like admin tasks that can be done for you through tech. So you don't need an admin to call to ask people, did you receive the quote? Did you receive, etc. Or if you realize people haven't opened, you maybe want to send a text or make that call now because you realize that time is going and no one has opened. So these are some ways. So that's email. Now, calendaring and appointment scheduling. There's so many appointment schedulers out there. I personally use Calendly. So instead of having somebody, go back and forth with people to set up appointments, people are like, I want to meet with you. I'd like to discuss a project, or I'd like to talk to you about stocking the items in your store, etc. Then you can set up your availability. I do mine week by week, and I use Calendly, right? I use Calendly. The reason I just like Calendly. Plus, I have the pro version of Calendly, and that allows me to do it. Integrates with my Zoom so that once somebody selects a time on my calendar, it automatically emails them and me the Zoom link and puts it in both of our calendars, right? So, and sends them reminders. And if you include a text phone field, it'll also send them a reminder by phone. And there are other apps like Appointee, Acuity, etc. And using all of those apps, you can also take payments. So that's a way to take payments. Remember, we talked about hiring tech as the cashier, as the first thing. So hiring tech as an admin, you can use these calendaring and appointment scheduling tools to take the tedious tasks away, right? So instead of you going back and forth with the person, when's a good time? Da, da, da. I'm not sure. Okay, it's 5 o'clock. Those are like 10 emails. Then you have to email them with the Zoom, and then they say they receive it, and then you have to remind them. Those are like 5 steps when you can use Calendly, Appointee, Acuity, and move it into one step. So mailing, right? Appointment scheduling, right? So these are some things that admins generally do. Now, also, sometimes you would want an admin to um, take notes for you, right? So what you can do instead is you can record your voice and use software to transcribe what you've said. So instead of typing it out, you use software. I use sonics.ai, but there are many. And you just upload the file. It will transcribe it in words. Obviously, you review it. Sometimes and you can't talk in dialect. Okay, you have to speak in standard English, Caribbean people, for these ones to work. Okay, but once you do that, you can back check it quickly, or you can copy and paste it in Grammarly. My social media admin, Butterfly Media, she uses another tool. I've forgotten it. Let me see if I have it. I don't have it, but she uses another tool, but I use Grammarly. It's free. And so you can just copy the transcription into Grammarly, and Grammarly is going to point out all of the spelling mistakes, all of the punctuation mistakes, all of the sentence structure mistakes, tell you how to fix it with a click of the button. And so there's your secretary in those two steps, right? So hire tech as an admin. So this is the second role we are going to hire tech for. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Now, number three. Now, if you have questions, put them in the question box. If you're on Instagram and if you're on Facebook Live, put them in the comments. Any comment or question, put them there. All right. So our next role is we're going to hire tech as a bookkeeper. Okay. Hire tech as a bookkeeper. So let me add that and let me show that. So you're hiring tech as a bookkeeper. Now, as you grow, but let me not even say as you grow, but when you start your business, if you've not started yet, and as you attempt to grow your business, you need a bookkeeping tool, right? You need a bookkeeping tool. And so normally you might have someone come in and do your books. Now, hire tech. And then you can use like FreshBooks. Use Wave apps. I have clients that use Invoice Home, etc. And you can keep track of your business expenses, your business revenue in these applications. They can also help create statements like cash flow, profits and loss, balance sheets. You can send invoices. I mean, there's so many things. And if you are living in the diaspora, which, for us Caribbean people, that's what UK and the US and so, right? If you're living out there as part of our diaspora, it's even better for you because you can integrate payments directly into your bookkeeping system and send out invoices with payment links embedded in them, right? And so this is another way to, hire tech as a cashier, hire tech as an admin, and hire tech as a bookkeeper. Now, here's a tip. If you if you're outside of the US or UK, and so it doesn't automatically allow payment online within the invoice automatically, you can copy and paste your payment link in the invoice manually, right? So let's say you're using a local payment system like JAD in St. Kitts, or you're using Stripe or something else, right? We pay, I think, in Trinidad and Tobago. You can paste the link in there to make it much more seamless, right? So you can hire tech as your bookkeeper, and you need to keep your books because I believe if you go to my Instagram, I have an IGTV video about data and the importance of data and bookkeeping helps you to collect, maintain, capture, and analyze data that will help you grow your business. So we hired tech as a cashier, we hired tech as an admin, we hired tech as a bookkeeper, and we are going to now hire tech as, let me see what I want to hire tech as. I want to hire tech now as a research assistant. Yeah. So let me create that here. I'm hiring tech as a research assistant. Now, there are times when we want to know things, but I'm going to go beyond the Google. So we know obviously about the Google search business. So I'm not here to talk about just Google. So let's say we want to find some other things out. We want to find out maybe specifically what people are Googling or searching in our countries around the things that we do. So, like Veronica is on here of Sassy V Clutches, and she does handmade bags, right? Purses, bags, clutches, just exquisite. And so she can put in terms around what she does, like around fashion, bags, etc., and see what people are searching by using Google Trends, right? Which is different. So by using Google Trends, let me just make sure, yeah, Google Trends, she can see what people are searching, right? And by country, in the world, etc. Okay? And so this then allows her to do some things, right? So that's research, right? But specific research as it relates to business and as it relates to country. And she can use this information to do some things, like she can write some blog posts because she realizes people are searching particular questions around or topics around what she does. She can take it and do an informational live, etc., right? So there are some specific tools that you can use to help you in research beyond just Google. Now, let's say you wanted to find scholarly research or work that is put out by researchers, right? I'm big on research, right? You can use Google Scholar. Google Scholar. So to search terms that are being used in your territory, in your industry, by location, etc., you're going to use Google Trends. And if you want scholarly research that researchers like myself and others have written about a particular topic, maybe you want to know, what have people found about hiring talent in a developing country, best practices for, or maybe best practices for growing your small business in a Caribbean nation or a developing nation, or best practices for, or strategies for female entrepreneurs to grow their businesses, right? So like my research was best, strategies that Black women used, well, minority women used to obtain venture capital funding for tech ventures. But if you search around that topic in Google Scholar, you'll find a whole, myself and other people who have written on the topic. And you don't have to be a big time researcher or professor or lecturer or anything. You can actually just read the abstract if you want, which gives a summary of what was researched, where it was researched, and what they found. Okay, so these are some tools that you can use that are specific, that you might have hired someone to do the research for you. Now let's talk about conducting your own research as a research assistant. Now you know that you can use these tools like SurveyMonkey, Google Forms, etc., to help you capture and most importantly visualize data. because SurveyMonkey and Google Forms, they will actually put the data you collect. Let's say you're doing a survey, right? They'll collect that information and put it in graphs, etc., for you, so that's easy to visualize the answers or the responses, right? And you can also search through them. So where you might have hired somebody in the past to get responses and create forms and give you a report on what they found, tech can do that for you, right? So we're going to hire tech as that research assistant. Now remember, if you have questions, put them in the comments, or comments, put them in the comments. If you're on Instagram, you want to use the question box. All right. Now, a word about research. I'm going off a little off topic, but not really. I do have a free, customer insight worksheet on Instagram in my thingy, in my link in the bio. I'm gonna put the link in the comments here as well on Facebook. So let me do that. And so customer insight is a little different, but not a little, is different to surveying. And I talk about customer insight in one of my IGTV videos, so you can go back and look at that. And so this worksheet, I know customer insight is not something that is normally discussed. And so I created a little planning worksheet that's free to download, right? A little planning worksheet for you that helps you walk through the steps to collect information about customer perceptions, etc., using the customer insight methodology. So for those of you on IG, you can go to my bio. And for those of you here on Facebook, I'm going to put it in the chat. So this is the customer insight worksheet, free download. All right. So far, we have hired tech for how many jobs? Let's see. We've hired tech as a cashier. We've hired tech as an admin. We've hired tech as a bookkeeper. And we just hired tech as a research assistant. So let me ping these off. Okay. So I think I want to now hire tech as a marketer, because I think it goes well. Because since we just hired tech as a research assistant, we're going to use this research to market. Hey, Crystal, how you doing, lady? So we are going to do that. So let me see. Crystal says thank you. Hey, Crystal, girl. Yeah. So we are now going to hire tech as a marketer. So let me put that here. Hire tech as a marketer, right? Because remember, once again, if you're small, right, you have to hire tech as a teammate in order to scale, okay? So you are not going to be able to bring all of these people on board that you need in the beginning. And so you are going to use tech as those employees. All right. So that's what we're talking about. Remember, I said last week I was on the live talking about ways to scale while staying small. So for those of you on Facebook, it's somewhere in the feed from last week. For those of you who prefer LinkedIn, it was last week's LinkedIn Live. And I talked about tech as the teammate. So that's why we are delving down deep as to all the ways you can use tech as your teammate. All right. So now we are hiring tech as a marketer. Okay. So you've done your research, you've done your customer insight, you're ready to make some moves. Now, based on what you found out, you're ready to market. Ready to market. So, tech can do everything for you. So we're not going to talk about social media platforms so much, but to say that online and tech, this is the greatest vehicle for visibility. So when you are starting your business and when you are growing your business, you need visibility. And visibility looks different at different times. So, of course, here's the tech you need in all stages. You need a website. Yeah, 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 right? And it doesn't have to be a fancy website. And your website could just be like a catalog on Facebook in the meantime, right? If that's what you're doing, it can be like my Teachable Academy on Teachable or Thinkific. Um, Crystal, that would be good for you, Teachable, right? To do classes and courses, etc. And Crystal, if you um, go up in the comments. I did a link to my Move Your Biz Online video class because in there I actually talk about and show you how to build a course online, right? So when you go to the link, you'll see all the things I teach in there. So you need web presence, you need online presence, right? Because you need visibility. Now you need a social media presence as well. The platform is dependent on your target market, of course, right? But more than one platform is generally better than one platform, okay? And I think where a lot of us in the Caribbean tend to lag behind on is when it comes to using tech as a marketer, we rely on organic traffic, that's the traffic you create through content, etc., to drive people to our site, our services, our presence online. But what we are neglecting, that I think that North Americans and Europeans do very well, is we don't utilize ads. You need ads, you need to run ads, okay? And you need to become savvier and savvier with your ads. So you need to move, I know everybody might be a fan of the Facebook boost post. I've boosted a lot of posts, but as Apple changes its rules, Apple just changed its rules. So there are a lot of things that are more nuanced now and more complex, and you require someone probably to do your ads. But I'm going to talk about hiring tech to do the ads as well, right? How tech can be used to do that. So you want your tech to do your marketing for you. Now, apart from ads, we want to talk about tech as customer service, right? So in marketing, you need visibility through website, you need social media. All of these things are free. You need to use all the free stuff they have going on the social media, your stories, your catalogs, your etc. If it is you don't have a website but you're doing things like courses, etc., you can use Teachable, you can use Thinkific, you can use Facebook catalog, you can use Shopify, you can use any of these things that will create a website for you in order to deliver your products and services and help do what? Number one, make tech your cashier, make tech your admin, because when you have all of these platforms that help to create visibility, because you're visible, right? So you're all up on the social media, you're all up doing the lives, you're doing all of these things, you're marketing, but then people can't pay you. So if you use these platforms, they market because they have people coming onto it, they have tools to help you market, but they also help you to capture payments and automate some of the admin tasks, because once somebody pays for something or signs up for something on one of these platforms, it helps you, it will send out like a thank you, right? It will say, this is your purchase, thank you for your purchase. All of that is done for you. And as somebody who I used to be an operations lead, manager for a Fortune 500 company's flagship store, okay, in the United States, and a sales lead as well for another store. And what I can tell you is that we believe that marketing, and this kind of goes with the next one, hiring tech as customer service. Marketing and customer service end with the sale. They don't. They include follow up, right? After sales service. And so part of that after sales service is that admin part, that thanking part, that acknowledging receipt of payment part. Okay? And so if you're using these platforms to help you market, because how should I put it? Payment is now embedded in all of your marketing tools. I think the only place, a social media platform where you cannot take payment is LinkedIn. I think so, right? But everywhere else you can take payment. You can, put physical products. You can put links in your bio for people to buy things. All of these are marketing tools that you can use to expand your reach, expand your visibility, and make money, because that's what it's about. Getting to the money, getting to the money. All right. So let's talk about hiring tech as customer service, right? So it kind of dovetails with what I've been saying, but let's talk about automating that customer service. So we just talked about how if you have payment processing software and merchandise software and retail software and platforms like the Shopify, etc., right? And they have shopping cart software, etc. How they will help you with customer service, because they are going to acknowledge receipt of the payment and all of this stuff, so that your customer doesn't think their money just went into a black hole and that's it, right? But let's talk about automating your customer service, because I don't even want to say as you grow, because even as you start, because when you start a business, it's hectic. No? It's really hectic. It's hectic. It's hectic. When you grow, it's hectic. But when you start, it's hectic too. And so you don't always have the time to field questions from people about your products or service. Oh, I have some comments, so let me pause. All right, so we have Crystal says yeah, and Crystal says yeah, got you. All right, Crystal. Now, when we talk about customer service, and I was saying that you're not always going to have the time to do the immediate follow up, and you do not want your potential client to think that you do not value them and their potential sale, right? And potential investment in your business. But the truth is, your team is small. So not normally your team is just you and it. We know it's the truth, right? So you need to automate. And so you need to use tools. I use ManyChat, but you don't have to get so fancy. If you're on Facebook, you can automate responses, etc. If it's WhatsApp, then you need to stop using your personal WhatsApp and use WhatsApp Business. So even if that means getting a separate SIM so that you can have WhatsApp Business on a separate number, that's what you need to do, because they have built-in automation where they acknowledge. You can put in anything, right? So you can acknowledge that you've received the inquiry and that you'll get back to them. You can put a catalog up, etc. You can ask people to select what it is that they want to inquire about. Now, I'm a little fancier and I use ManyChat. And ManyChat, you can build a flow. So if you go to my Facebook now and you try to send me a message, let's hope it works, right? It will ask you some things like, what Thank you. Thanks for reaching out. Can you tell me what it is that you are interested in speaking to Dr. Tamu about? Is it your business? Is it you want training for your team? Is it you want to set up an appointment for something? Or is it something other? And based on what you say, it's going to take you to some things. Like, okay, if you want to talk to me about training, click here and send me an email, fill out this form. If you want to talk to me about your business, what exactly? And it takes you through, it takes the client through the most often asked scenarios so that you use as much as of the automation as possible to handle your customer service. Okay? And so it creates that customer experience that endears the client to you, because when everything is so savvy, when everything is so professional, they're like, right? I want to do business. This lady knows what she's about, so I want to do business with her, right? So you need to hire tech as customer service. And these are some, remember I said I'm trying to say free, right? So these are free ways using the automation tools that are embedded into social media platforms, or using external tools that give you a bit more flexibility, like the ManyChat. I believe if you scroll, I'm going to see if I find it. But for those on Instagram, I believe, I ain't sure, that I have a video about ManyChat or automation, customer service automation. If not, I'm going to upload it tomorrow so that you can see. And on Facebook, I'm going to search for it. I have it somewhere. But there is, maybe it was on my Coaching by Tamu um, Facebook page. By the way, tell everybody, okay? Coaching by Tamu Facebook, everything is now over on here. Dr. Tamu Petra Brown or at Tamu Brown, right? If you're on Instagram, so the Coaching by Tamu page, it's no more. So I'm actually going to see if I can find that video, and I'll post it in here, hopefully before we end. All right, so if we let's recap because I said 8. Let's see. So we had 1, hire tech as your cashier. 2, hire tech as an admin. 3, hire tech as a bookkeeper. 4, research assistant. 5, hire tech as a marketer. And we just covered hire tech as customer service. So that was 6. So we have 2 more to go. And I am going to say hire tech as your subject matter expert. Hire tech as your subject matter expert. Yeah. Okay. Now, it's impossible for you to know everything. I don't know everything. You don't know everything. Even collectively, we don't know everything. And sometimes you need to hire tech to do the things that you cannot do. So, but what does that mean? Hire tech as your subject matter expert. By the way, do share. You know an entrepreneur. Share the live or the replay with them so that they can get the nuggets, right? And learn how to use tech to start, grow, and scale, right? Start, grow, and scale. So hire tech as a subject matter expert. Now, here I'm talking about using task platforms like Fiverr. I use Fiverr a lot. Let me put Fiverr in the thingy, in the comments, right? Like Fiverr, right, .com, where you can find experts in things like video production. When I say experts, I mean people who are really adept and do great work, which you can review because they have lots of reviews on there. You can see their work, you can see what people are saying, who they've served. And these people, because many of them are like in parts of Europe where the exchange rate is favorable, you will find that there are people out there that are doing excellent work, like creating videos for you. That's something that I am going to use. Creating intro and outros for you. Creating animations, explainer animations for you. So you don't have to do all of these. Anything you could think of, there's somebody on Fiverr. I use Fiverr. There are other platforms such as guru.com and elance.com, but I like the Fiverr platform, right? That's not to say you have to, but I like the Fiverr platform. And you can hire people one off at a very minimal cost to do these high level tasks for you. And you have the power of social proof through the reviews to determine if they are a best fit for you. And there's also a grievance mechanism on Fiverr as well, so that if you're not happy with the work or they do not deliver the work on time, Fiverr will give you back your money. So like I have a credit sitting in there for somebody who told me that something had happened, they couldn't deliver the work that I wanted, and so the credit is sitting in there. I think it's been over a year and the credit is still sitting in there, right? So you can find people on Fiverr to write blog posts for you. You can find people on Fiverr to do a million things for you, and all of these other freelance websites. So you can use tech to find subject matter experts so that you don't have to spend hours and hours editing a video, optimizing it for YouTube, etc. You can hire somebody for 10, 20 US dollars to do these things for you. And because you know how much they're going to cost, it's something that you can budget for as well. All right? So that's hiring tech as your subject matter expert. We have one more. Ooh, 8 roles. So our final role is hiring tech as your operations lead. Yeah, hiring tech as your operations lead. So let me put that in here. Tech as your operations lead. All right. Make sure it's spelled right. Okay, so here we go. Okay, here we go. So you need to be able to map out the flow of how business is to be done. Are you with me? So how your business operates. So for instance, you might want to map out, well, what is the process flow for when someone interacts with me or downloads a lead form or buys a class, right? Or something like that. And how do I nurture the lead and make sure all of the parts of the business that they have to interact with in order to have the value or the product or service delivered to them? What does that look like? So here is a good place to begin mapping out your systems and processes. And how can tech help with that? This is really low tech. This ain't no fancy, not any fancy software or anything. You want to map out your processes, right? Your processes for accepting payment, your processes when somebody interacts with your form, fills out a form for you, buys a product or service from you, etc. You want to map out all of these things. I always say map it out on paper first And then, hey Joy, you joining now, I'm done, but hey, over there on Instagram, you want to map it out on paper and, like, on a big, just a big manila, using pencil manila. And then you want to create a Word document, or I say Word is just easy, right? Or using Google Docs, because I want you to have it in the cloud, right? Using Google Drive or OneDrive. And you want to map it out. So you can draw it and take a picture and upload it, or you can get fancy and use shapes and etc. And you want to then write out the process for things. The reason is that when you begin to automate and when you do bring people on, they need to know how things have to work. So if, let's say, you are discussing with one of your subject matter experts, maybe you want them to set up a customer relationship management system for you. I use Dubsado, by the way, which automates like everything for me. Let me put that in the comments. Dubsado is not free. So I did say I was doing free tools, but Dubsado is not free, right? Just reminder, it's not free. You want to be able to show the person that this is the process and this is where I need you to fit in that process so that it provides context. Now, the reason I say to use the cloud is so that you can have access to it anywhere. You can share the process with them, and you can, protect it so that only their email can access the process. You can remove their access. You can prevent things like them editing, etc. With the with the password protection and share protection and privacy things that cloud services have, like Google Drive, like OneDrive. So this last one is not high tech. It's using tech to facilitate planning out and illustrating the operations of your business. So you want to look at the key things your business does and how you interact externally with the customer, how that translates internally, and the outcome of that into payment, etc. And you want to map it. You want to draw it. You want to upload it. You want to then write it out if you want to, or you can just number the steps. And now you have it as a reference tool for yourself, because you're going to be constantly modifying, right? And I have, what do I have? I have a customer experience transformation program now. And so that would be a good thing for somebody to have, because if you don't have it, I'm going to ask you to do it so that I can say, all right, this is your process. And if you want to transform that process to delight the customer, these are the areas. So if you begin to map your process and place it somewhere that is accessible, that you can share with others, then you're well on your way to being a strategic entrepreneur and strategic thinker. So Joy says, what's the topic? I think I pinned it, Joy. It's there, 8 roles you can hire tech for in your business. All right, so I believe I told my Facebook people I'm going to look for the ManyChat video, and I'll put it in the comments probably after the live. So we are going to recap the 8 roles. If you have a question on Instagram, I'm going to do question and answer now. Everybody's joining now. I'm done. I'm going to do question and answer. If you're on Instagram, put your questions in the question box. Here, put your questions in the comments. And so let me just go back over for the last time the 8 roles that you can hire tech for as an employee in your business. Remember, I said when I started that this all came because I spoke about tech as a teammate in my last live on Facebook and LinkedIn. And so I'm delving down deep, alliteration, I think, right? Delving down deep into the discourse on what that actually means. What are some team members that tech can be for you in your business? All right. So the first one was hire tech as your cashier. Number two, hire tech as an admin. Number three, hire tech as a bookkeeper. Four, hire tech as your research assistant. Hire tech as a marketer. Number five, I believe. Yeah. Yes. Number six, hire tech as customer service. Number seven, hire tech as your subject matter expert. And finally, hire tech as your operations lead. Woo! That was long. It was an hour long tonight. I thought I would spend about 30 minutes, but it ended up being a lot. So I'll pause. If you have any comments, put the comments in. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. If not, then put them in the replay and I'll get to them when I see them. If you have questions on Facebook or Instagram, you can DM me about any of the resources. Of course, visit tamilcoaching.com for those of you on Instagram, right? And Facebook. And for Instagram, if you have any questions, DM me. The customer insight worksheet that's on the Instagram bio, I've put a link to it here in Facebook. I talked about my Move Your Biz Online video class. The link is in the comments here on Facebook. And for IG, if you like what I said about Move Your Biz Online, send me a DM so you can learn more about it. I'll send you the link and then you can explore it. So everybody, thank you for joining me. I had a good time. Bye.